Hello everybody and welcome back. It's good to talk to all of you again, and today I've got a replay for all of you, and it's from Never Forgotten, who's playing a Des Moines again. And Never, as some of you might be aware of, is pretty well known for his Des Moines play on the NA server. Now before I get started, good lord, I've actually just finished the division and at least all the intel gathering and all that. It's a pretty sweet game. Now the end game begins, but yeah, I mean that game took up a good chunk of my time in the last week, so do apologize for being a little bit on the late side with this particular video. Anyways, so Never, let's get back to this battle here. Never here is playing a Des Moines on Hotspot, and it's a 3-cap domination. And if you look at the teams, this battle is a little bit on the... Well, I mean, the enemy team is alright if you look at the ships, but on Never's team, he's got a Tier 2 Tachibana, and he's got a Tier 6 Cleveland in a Tier 10 battle. Yeah, there was some massive failed divisions there. But the enemy team, well, they don't have the failed divisions, but they definitely have the potatoes. And just take a look at the first 2 cruisers that Never engages, the New Orleans over there and the Hipper. The Hipper just sat there earlier and gave Never a broadside to shoot at, and I think within like two salvos, Never pretty much crippled him. The New Orleans on the enemy team also sailing broadside and also going very, very slowly. Of course, Never does have to worry about the Benson that is currently hiding in smoke in front of him. He manages to land 2 pretty nice shots into the smoke, actually hitting the destroyer, so forcing the destroyer to come out, and the Benson does come out of his smoke. And of course, at this kind of range, 5 kilometers, you come out and you let Des Moines shoot you and you're in a destroyer. That's just a really bad day for you, and in no time at all, that Benson is going to be underwater. So Never did initially play defensively. He held his position behind that island, played a very defensive battle, but now he's going to go on the attack. Remember that New Orleans? Yeah. Still sailing at what does appear to be maybe half speed in a pretty nice straight line, and in pretty much 3 salvos, I think, Never is going to zero in on this New Orleans Citadel area, and with the amount of shells that a Des Moines can output, you don't want to be offering such easy hits, as this next salvo here is really going to hurt. So there you go, there's just over 22,000 damage in a salvo, 4 Citadel hits, and of course once you've taken that much damage while you're in a New Orleans, yeah, you're gone. So now that the cruisers have been taken care of, Never goes on the offensive. I mean, the enemy team here has pretty much abandoned the southern area and is just sort of given Never free reins to just march down here and start killing everything in sight. And kill everything he will. But first up, there is the Iowa. Ooh, and there's the full base cap, which, by the way, is quite a nice chunk of experience. So there is the Iowa. Now, Never sees that the Iowa is giving him a broadside, which means the first thing he's going to open up with is obviously going to be armor piercing, because Des Moines armor piercing against broadside battleships does do pretty solid amounts of damage. So there was almost 5,000 damage. So the damage is really, really solid, somewhere in the 4,000s, and with the rate of fire on the Des Moines, the damage very, very quickly adds up. Now, the Iowa does react to this. It's not like the Iowa just sat there and completely ignored things. The Iowa does respond, does turn, and starts to angle. And the minute that a battleship does this, which is the angling, against Des Moines, what you do as a Des Moines captain is switch over to high explosive, and then you start to set fires. Now, what this Iowa does initially is actually the right thing to do, which is to angle in and to stop the Des Moines from being able to penetrate you effectively with armor piercing. What the Iowa does next is, well, kind of confusing. The Iowa lets the Des Moines get really close, inside of 3 kilometers, and then offers a Des Moines a broadside. And when you do that, the Des Moines is capable of hitting that many Citadel hits and absolutely wrecking your day. So the Iowa had to just continue to stay, bow in, and aggressively angled in. It could have either killed the Des Moines with its guns, either through frontal citadels or something like that, or it could have just I mean, hell, the Iowa could have just rammed him to end this battle, and that would have been that. So once the Iowa dies, the Fubuki has no friends, and there's a very, very quick fourth kill. By the way, I do apologize for the replay having just these weird little hiccupy moments where things sort of freeze. It's nothing I can do. It just has to be some sort of replay issue, so I do apologize for that. Anyways, Lexington, really bad position, 13 kilometers away from a Des Moines, and of course carriers like the Lexington, which have that massive spotting distance, pretty easy target. And of course, not even 8 minutes into the battle, Never has already secured High Caliber and Confederate. Okay, so Never's pretty much whacking that Lexington and doing pretty solid damage. And oh look, there's an Admiral Hipper. And the Admiral Hipper can't really win a gun duel against the Des Moines. Actually, very few things can outright win a gun duel against the Des Moines, at least in the cruiser class. So the best bet for this Hipper is angle its armor, be a difficult target to hit, and try to close in for torpedoes, which the Admiral Hipper is trying to do. The Admiral Hipper could have, I think, made life a little bit more difficult for Never had he actually maneuvered a little bit more. But still, I mean, he's in a decent position, has at least angled well enough to start to close the range. What could have happened right around here as the Hipper closed to within sort of 4-ish kilometers is even before that, because the Hipper does have slightly longer range torpedoes. What he could have done is actually gone for torpedo launch from distance and then return to angling and then get close and then do another wave of torpedoes, making Never's life a little bit more difficult. Instead, the Hipper decides to close to pretty much point blank range, launch torpedoes, and Never dodges them all. And right before having to dodge those torpedoes, Never kills the Mogami and then turns his attention and kills the Hipper. That is kills numbers 5 and 6, securing himself Kraken and a double strike medal while he's at it. And for those of you who've been actually keeping track of the time, this was all done in less than 9 minutes. So High Caliber, Confederate, Kraken, double strike, everything all within 9 minutes, which is pretty damn incredible. Finally, there is the Fletcher that's starting to open up, and this Fletcher is, well, the Fletcher is at around 8 kilometers, which is well within the Des Moines' comfortable engagement range. And it's just not a good place for a Fletcher to be. I mean, I would say the best choice for the Fletcher right now would have been probably smoke, but obviously he doesn't have smoke anymore. But had he had smoke, the best thing to do would have been to smoke and maybe hope for torpedoes or guns, something like that. But yeah, I mean, launched off those torpedoes, but without smoke, a US gunboat at this kind of range, while being engaged by Des Moines, is pretty much food. The Iowa, finally having turned around, yeah, doesn't really get much of a chance to engage Never in Des Moines before Never's able to kill off that Fletcher, and by killing off that Fletcher, completely bleeds the enemy team dry of points, securing his team the win. And of course, there goes the Fletcher right there for kill number 7. Alright, so in pretty much just over 10 minutes, let's see what Never was able to accomplish. The battle lasted all of 10 minutes and 7 seconds, and during which time Never was able to secure 233,000 damage for a base experience of 5,087. That's right, over 5,000 base experience. And that, of course, means that if you factor in the premium, that's 7,631 experience. And the big number you should be looking at here in a tier 10 ship is that credit cane. Never made 966,000 credits, and that was actually without a credit flag. Had I think Never used the credit flag, this could have been a battle that would have netted in excess of 1,000,000 credits. Anyways, Never, one thing to say to you is you can be on my team anytime. Anyways, folks, I hope you enjoyed this one. Take care, and I'll talk to all of you again soon.